I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this similarity there. I can almost say that when I came back to Leicester, there was I'd done some jujitsu. This is where I met Gurinder in London, but I'd not done any kind of striking stuff in a long time. And I started that, and I was so shit when I started. Like it's literally a year ago now. And I look back to how cumbersome I was and how kind of
Yeah.
I was just led by my own momentum, and it was just like a ball rolling down a hill. Like I couldn't pivot, I couldn't move, I couldn't kind of control my own mass, right? And now, literally a year later, it's a lot to kind of sometimes, yeah, hold back, right? And literally a year later, me and TJ were talking about this the other day. It's come along so much, but it's through being shit and through exposing yourself. Like we've talked about this in the podcast before, training at sometimes 5 in the morning because there's no time to train, 4 in the morning because there's no time to train in the day. But what you said there, being exposing yourself to just being shit, it's like planting a seed, right? You can only grow, you can only go one way as long as you stick it out. You mustn't be shit in a year's time. It's not going to happen. You will definitely incrementally improve slowly, so long as like training is some way decent. Yeah, I really, really resonate with what you said there because you've almost like the void you had to fill. You spoke about that a little bit, and now it's a case of okay, well, there's all this emptiness. I've got to start putting some seeds in it and hoping that they grow. And one last thing you said that I want to go back to. I remember you coming in after your salsa lessons and how much like of a that's exactly what I felt like.
Yeah.
The
I
way
remember
you
that
just
one song I was sneakily put into the playlist, and it's like, oh, come on, randomly a day, and everyone hated it. But I was like, da
I don't remember that song, but
Amazing.
I remember you being like just a much happier person, and just as simply
yeah,
as that is, like that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, 100%. I remember the kind of the glow. You know what I mean? It's something I genuinely have that after this podcast sometimes. After I've learned something new, we talk about the course that both of us have done recently with Jordan Shallow, and you learn something. You're just like, wow, this is amazing. I feel so much better having done this, even though I'm having to like rack my brain to get around it. It's not. It's a small price to pay.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I'm genuinely like, it came to a point where I was like, I'm genuinely always gonna strive to be the worst one in the group. And it was just like, it's just funny because the only thing that is I've learned to laugh instead of like judge. I'm like, I just laugh. And I remember, I obviously like, I'm a little bit of like an impulsive individual. I will, for example, I started taking salsa and I did like 4 classes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going Cuba. So I just decided to go to Cuba on my own, like over New Year's, just
Yeah.
like, because I'm like, yeah, I can definitely do salsa now. So
Amazing.
that was, you know, it was also very much of a learning experience, and like how scared I was to go there on my own because no one spoke English either. So it was like it was tornado in my head. But I think
Pretty
since then,
epic.
I just realized that you just have to laugh. And the only thing I committed to, I was like, look, I might not dance a lot, but if anyone asks me to dance, I will never say no. That was my one commitment. So I would just like dance for like random men on the streets. Like it was amazing. And like just like this old man like outside a bar, and you would come up and they were like, do you want to dance? And I was like, okay. And I was like shaking my head, but I'm like, okay. And so I committed, but it was so much fun. And then, and the beautiful thing I think about salsa, or like any dance, any even I would say combat sport, or like maybe there's a form of connection to another person, which you don't need words to communicate, to have exactly, to understand exactly what the other person is like experiencing or feeling, because it's that sense of like we are doing this one thing together, and it's we don't need language to communicate, and it's so beautiful, and that's why I love dancing and the dancing community, because I think if you're not a dancer on your own and you go to like a salsa club, you're probably there to just pick up girls or guys. But if you come and like if you are in like a dancing community and you actually go out, it's like it's not about picking people up. It's just really about dancing, communicating, having these like really beautiful moments together with some people. And you really feel it when you really connect with someone when you're dancing, and you feel some people you don't really connect with. It's like the energetic fields become heightened, or like heightened, and you just know who you will like gel with or not gel with. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I fully
true.
get that. Yeah, because
Hmm.
I've done some salsa as well.
Have you?
So yeah, it was a ton of fun. I did it a while back, and then I did it again last year, and I know that I tell you, I was terrified because I started there when I started going to like the events that they were hosting and stuff. I ended up going to one of them on my own, and I just showed up there, and I was shitting. I was bricking it because I was like, I can't just stand here on the sidelines. I gotta actually dance with someone. So I asked a woman to dance with me, and I'm like, like 6 weeks in or something like that.
Like 2 basic steps in the turn.
Yeah, exactly. 2 basic steps, a turn, and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, I could do something. At least I'll be able to, do the Titanic with her. That's it. And then I get there and I start dancing with. As I remember, like this one particular woman as well. I start dancing with her. I was like, I know she's a million times better than me, and she could be having a dance with somebody else who's a million times better than me as well. But she's here with me right now. And I just kind of froze. So I just I kept doing the forward step, back step, forward step, back step, forward step, back step until I felt like, okay, now I should do something. And I was there probably for half the song just doing that. And she just kind of looking at me. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then, you just like, you start to get in your own head a little bit more about it. But then as soon as I did the first move, even though I fucked it up, I was like, oh, finally, I've got it out the way now. Let's just dance, And it was such a hilarious kind of, it was like another moment where I just learned a lot about myself because I was there for like a good couple hours as well. And I left and I just went, whew, that was an experience because I was surrounded by people who are like way better than me. And but that was a good thing to do because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't put myself in an environment where it's ripe opportunity for learning because I came out of that. I was a much better dancer than when I went in. Even though it didn't feel like it. It was just because I was dancing with people who were better than me and just watching what other people were doing and things like that. It made a difference.
Yeah. Man, I wish there was something happening in London for dancing, but we'll have to wait.
Exactly. You're just gonna have to do it in your room.
Yeah, exactly. I can do one couple in here, that will work,
That works.
Yeah.
That works. Exactly. It's so interesting what you guys are saying because I feel like I can resonate my own way. Do you know what? This has been in me for so long to want to dance, but I've not been courageous enough to just go and do it, right?
Yeah.
But with regards to combat sports, what you just said there, G, hits home so hard because you can stand in front of somebody and you've got your hands up and you're trying to not get hit, you're trying to hit, and you're trying to kind of just basically establish yourself. But one of the things that I touched on in training recently was that I need to get in there. I need to just do one, like it's called an L step. So an L step is basically you move off to the right hand side and you move your feet in you bring your front foot back, you move your foot off to the side and you replace your front foot, right? Super simple. And then you do the same on the other side. It's called a J step. And basically it just kind of breaks the stuck feeling in your head where you feel like, oh, I want to do. And all of a sudden as soon as you do that first basic step, you're just like, okay, and the shackles are off now. I can just do what I want to do. And it's so liberating just to get that out of the way first. I feel like that's almost a go-to now. Whenever I'm sparring, whenever I'm doing anything, it's like I just get it out of the way and the rest of it will just come because now you're natural. Now you've moved your body. You've got out of that kind of neutral gear. It's really interesting that you guys have the same thing, but in a very different setting.
Completely.
Yeah.
Happens, yes.
I think something that I was thinking about as well, because I think a woman can look good dancing if the guy is really good at leading, because like I've experienced some dances when I'm like, I don't even know what just happened. I just walked out of a dance and I'm like spinning everywhere and I'm like, I haven't learned this step, because somehow they're so talented and just guiding you exactly, and they just like literally just like whoa, and but I think a realization and an interesting thing that I was thinking is like how you have to let go in order for things to move forward in a way. Because if you're trying to control things so much, you're just getting stuck in like either analysis paralysis or just, I don't know, it just doesn't really flow nicely. And as soon as you can kind of let go of that, you know how we were talking earlier before we started recording about like that lightheartedness a little bit, trying to not be so perfect and like actually just enjoying the process a little bit. Then all of a sudden it's like I don't even have to give so much effort to it for it to be working. And that's what I found with salsa as well. And I'm a massive control freak, so for me it's the biggest lesson is just to learn to let go and to be led, which is super difficult. But when it happens, that's really when you can dance, which is it's just super interesting. So a lot of life lessons from taking salsa.
Yeah, fully. It's like that lesson in and of itself is such an important one where if you don't let go, you're never going to get the experience you could get out of it.